in July of 18. That following May, our first regional national qualifier was our men's tennis team. They won the NAC tournament and played pretty well down, I believe, in St. Louis in their regional. Okay. But some really cool things that you may not know about the school, the telestrator, when people draw on TV, that was us. Okay. Illinois Tech, and your cell phone. The first iterations of those were all Illinois Tech as well. So some pretty cool things have happened here, and some pretty cool things are going on. Okay. Here's a quick look at our teams and what we offer. Okay. Little bit of something for everybody: team sports, individual sports. We also do a pretty good job on the rec and fitness side of things. But I think we do a pretty good job of servicing all types of athletes and interests. Okay. Student athlete wise on campus, we're a little over 250 student athletes, individual student athletes. Okay. 17 teams, 11 coaches. And some of the more popular majors are engineering. We say that very broadly. That could be aerospace, that could be mechanical, civil, electric, computer. It runs the entire gamut. Architecture and business. On the female side, I'll tell you, we have a lot of psychology as well. Okay, so it's not something that when you look at something that says tech at the end of it, you consider, but a lot of our female athletes in volleyball and in basketball have done the high-end research-based psych that we have done here. So there's another popular major here at the school. Coach, you want to take over here a little bit and maybe walk us through Division III? I kind of touched on it a little bit for you.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of read off the slide in case anyone can't see it. But what is it? It's a division of the National Collegiate Athletic Association in the United States. D3 consists of athletic programs at colleges and universities that choose not to offer athletic scholarships to their student athletes. 40% of the NCAA universities are Division III. 443 universities nationwide make up the largest of the three divisions. So basically, at NCAA Division III, you get a whole host of different types of schools. It's a smorgasbord. You got small private liberal arts schools in the middle of nowhere. You got large state schools in cities, and we kind of fall somewhere in, I would say, the middle of that whole category. We kind of have a nice balance of, we're right around a little over 3,000 students typically as an undergraduate, 8,000 total students. So in the realm of Division III, typically, I think people think the numbers directly correlate to how talented or how much work goes into the programs, but I think the number behind the D can sometimes be misleading. I think a lot of Division III athletes have opportunities to play at Division I and Division II schools. However, my experience is that Division III athletes tend to prioritize academics a little higher, and they try to make sure they're finding the right fit. So that's kind of my summary of Division III, Coach Ed. And if you want to hop on and say anything extra on that I might have missed, go for it.
No, I think that's awesome. I think it goes right back to what we were talking about earlier, in that Division III is where you should be able to say yes to a lot of stuff and not be pigeonholed into one thing, right? So we want you to be able to develop professionally. We want you to be able to participate in things outside of sports and outside of school. One of the things that I really like about our institution is that we're right here in the heart of Chicago, right? There is no better city in the world, as far as I'm concerned, to experience life. You get the diversity from all over the world. We're located right between two L lines, so you can go anywhere in the city. When you live on campus, that U-Pass is free for you, so you're traveling throughout the city for free, basically anywhere in Cook County. So that helps you professionally, it helps you socially. It's just an unbelievable experience, and I think Division III allows for us to let you experience that fully. Okay. Academically, we get asked, how do we stay eligible? Your bare minimum requirements are listed right there for you. All right. 2.0 with 24 credits passed in the last 2 semesters. That is not real academically rigorous compared to what our students are and what they do and how they perform in the classroom. The majority of our kids are well over a 3.0 from the baseball perspective. We carry a team GPA well above a 3.2, which is pretty good compared to Division III. We very, very rarely have an issue with kids getting it done in the classroom. I'm going to turn this over to Coach here for a little bit, kind of talk about some of the resources that we have. And then, Coach, I'll let you roll through the next slide too, because I think that's what we're talking about, facilities and some of these other things. So I'll just kind of let you hammer away here.
All right. So, yeah, the academic resources on the Academic Resource Center located at Herman Hall. It's got a lot of different options, and every coach kind of utilizes it differently. One thing, again, that's unique about Division III to the other divisions is that there's not really any preferential treatment, especially in regards to support. There are some advantages such as, early class registration. That way you can try to schedule classes outside of potential practice and game times as best as possible. But all the academic resources that you'll find yourself using are open to all students on campus. I always joke with our team that the only difference is that they have an on-campus dad making them go to these things. So I will force players to go if they're not upholding their end of the academic bargain. Don't run into it too much, but there's peer tutoring, there's exam reviews, there's workshops and seminars, there's group study, there's electronics there. I know tutors will have hours there. I know a couple of our guys just had, like I said, group study where few people from their class kind of had similar schedules, and so they would meet at the Academic Resource Center, or commonly called the ARC, to go over anything. That way they can kind of bounce ideas off each other, work with one another through any problems they have. And then I don't know if I can change the slide. There we go. Day in the life of an athlete at Illinois Tech. So again, this will vary on program. It will vary on time of year, depending on if you're in season versus out of season versus, non-traditional versus traditional season. But things you can expect: early morning workouts and training. One thing that's true about our school is the class schedule is pretty sporadic. And so what I mean by that is there's unavoidable classes at night every so often. There's unavoidable classes at 8 a.m., depending on what your major is. So one common time that we've found that everyone can get together is 6 in the morning. And, not everyone loves to hear that. I honestly typically am not a morning person. However, I always liked getting early workouts in, early practices in. But like I said, you can kind of expect that sometime throughout your time there, whether it's in season, out of season, you'll have some early morning workouts, you'll have some early morning practices, skill sessions. It all kind of depends on your team's class schedule. Again, going back to some of the advantages of athletics, I don't know the times off the top of my head, but varsity athletes are able to get into the Keating Sports Center at 6 a.m. versus, is it 8 a.m. when it opens to the public, Ed? Is that right?
Yes.
So sometimes teams will utilize that time, and you're kind of piggybacking off that. One of the best memories you'll have as a college athlete is just hanging out with your teammates. Not necessarily the wins and losses. Those will kind of be blurry memories at some point, but you'll remember the team breakfasts, the bus rides. And so those early morning practices, the benefit of it is that you're all up. Everyone kind of parlays that into team breakfasts oftentimes. After that, I tell our guys, try to use as much of the morning and early afternoon for classes as possible. As miserable as it sounds to have to go to a 9 a.m. physics lab, 6 a.m. practice is way earlier. So, utilize that morning time, because if our team can all be done with class by 4:30, 5 p.m. practice is pretty good situation, weather-wise, time of day-wise, everything. After classes, like it says, depending on sports, practice or other workouts. I know, for example, our swim team, they go early in the morning pretty much every day from what I've seen. Other teams, depending on, again, what point of the year they're in, will do some afternoon workouts, or, if you did a morning practice, they might have skill work or lifting in the afternoons. Club meetings and study groups. Again, I think this is just an opportunity where you'll have teammates that have the same majors as you, older teammates who have taken the classes you're in. And it's a great resource. It's really cool to just have that built-in family. I always tell our team that you have 40 almost forced friends on campus because you spend so much time with them. But it kind of gives you some advantages on, practice ends. You guys can all hit the library. You can head back to the dorms, find one of the lounges, find one of the common areas, pick your lab partner from your class from earlier in the day and do some studying together. And then sleep. I think that's probably one of the things that sounds kind of ridiculous and not important, but sleep's huge. I think it's one thing I harp on with our players a lot is just, making sure they're utilizing the time they have so they aren't doing the late nights or all-nighters. Apparently some of our guys don't need to sleep too often. I've been kind of shocked, but that's kind of a typical day in the life. Again, as a volleyball player in the fall, your schedule will look very different than it does in the winter and in the spring. And for our lacrosse players, the early part of fall is pretty non-intrusive, but once you get into March and April, it's a lot of work. And so I think that day in the life, just kind of the different block periods of time, that kind of gets made up by your coach and depending on where you are in your schedule.
I can jump in here, Coach. So athletic travel, it depends on the size of the team, but we travel pretty well, okay? We've got some pictures of the coach bus on there. Most of the time when we travel, you are traveling comfortably with requirement by whomever we're dealing with or traveling with for wireless internet to be on the buses. Okay, when I schedule those buses, we write it into the contract that they have to have wireless internet in there. The reason for that is I first took this job 5 years ago. We were going to go do a service project. It was November. I was really excited. For me, hanging out with the guys, get on the trips, getting to know the students, screwing around a little bit is a lot of fun. Like I enjoy that part of it. So I was, I got a movie. It was awesome. I was really excited. Like, hey, we're going to screw around. And they raised their hand, the leader of the group, whoever that was at the time. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, Coach, can we have quiet time all the way to the event? And then we can have fun on the way home. But like, we've got like a lot of work to do and we need to study. And I was like, yeah, we can do that. It broke my soul a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Cause I was ready to kind of screw around and have some fun, but at Illinois Tech, it's a place where we have to think about that all the time, right? We have to make sure that your academic experience is put to the front. So that's just a little thing that we do, okay? Where we go and some of the things that we do, the Northern Athletics Conference is basically a triangle between Milwaukee, just north of. In 2021, it'll grow to Green Bay, come all the way over to Madison, and then come back down to Chicago. So it's kind of in that three-city triangle for the most part. So we'll travel quite a bit. But it's, when Norbert's comes in, the longest trip will be 4 hours. Everything else is about 2.5 at this point, okay? Different teams, different programs will take different trips. So you can see a few that are listed there. The spring trip for baseball this year was scheduled for Pasadena, California. We did not make that trip this year, as I'm sure many of you can understand. Swim and dive traditionally has gone to Florida. Women's volleyball has gone to the Pacific Northwest. Men's soccer 2 springs ago was in Ireland. This past season, women's basketball went to Puerto Rico. A lot of our teams are taking big trips. Tennis goes to Florida or has gone to Florida the last several years. So there's not a team that has not taken a trip pretty consistently. Okay. So if you don't see your team listed there, don't think that you're just sitting at home. Okay. I'll kind of work on some of these facilities here. But these are pictures of our Keating Sports Center. This is basically our weight room. Okay. I will tell you, baseball is one of the larger teams on campus. We're about 30 to 35 pretty consistently. We work out all of our guys at one time. Okay. So our program is set up where we can do a couple different things at a couple different times. But anything that we need to get bigger, faster, stronger is located in here. And I think the facility does a good job. It's obviously our home for our basketball and our volleyball programs as well. Okay. Some of our other facilities here, Echo Pool for our swimming and dive. A lot of the stuff that is in there right now is brand new. Okay. 2 years ago, Excess Tennis was built up the road. Our tennis coach, who's unbelievable, was able to secure some time and some contract and some space over there. So it's not real far from campus, and our kids have an excellent facility in which to play and work. And then for our cross country and track programs, we use Dunbar Park, which is located just east of campus, very walkable, just on the other side of some apartment complexes that are adjacent to campus. And then our runners will head up the lakefront trail. Okay, so it's about a mile cross country run over there, and they run up and down and come on back. But it's a gorgeous trail right there on the lakefront. Okay, and then our outdoor facilities there, baseball obviously there on the left, looking into the city skyline, and then you can see Stewart Field for soccer and lacrosse also looking into the skyline there. Okay, turf lit, beautiful facility. It's got too many lines on it, so we're sorry about that, but allows our teams to have a great experience, a lot of variable practice times and those type of things to make sure that you guys get what you need. Here are a list of our coaches. Our athletic director, Joe Hakes, will retire at the end of July, so that new position is being sorted and filled, so you guys will be under a different athletic director. But he's done a great job here the last 5 years. That's the rest of our staff right there. And then our athletic training staff, which I think is phenomenal. Chapin and Sarah are here every day. We also contract a third athletic trainer out. And then our team physician, Dr. Ganad, is through the Rush Medical System. I mentioned that because when we get into Rush Orthopedics and Midwest Orthopedics, same group that takes care of the Bulls and the White Sox, so you're getting a high-level medical group that'll take care of you there. They will also take care of the family medical practice if you get sick or some of those other things. Oftentimes we're able to go through that. Rush is one of the top medical groups in the country, so you're pretty safe and pretty taken care of if it ever came to that. All right. Coach, I'm going to let you wrap this one up here. I think this is our last slide.
Yeah, so recruiting obviously works different ways for different programs, different sports. I think the big thing for me, I always tell people, if you're interested, reach out. If you're interested in volleyball, Coach Johnson, I'm sure does a great job responding. He's a good worker. But I think, generally you reaching out, initiating contact shows there's serious interest. The recruit questionnaires on the athletic website, I believe every team has one underneath their individual sport. But I always encourage people, even if we've talked, even if we've emailed back and forth, it just helps us collect a ton of information on you moving forward. And that way, if we ever need something, you're already in our system, and it just helps sort everything, something I may have forgotten to ask or whatnot. You can find those all at our website, IllinoisTechAthletics.com. When you sign up for a visit, indicate it, say you'd like to meet with the coach, depending on coach's schedules. I try to meet with everybody who expresses interest. And then if you have a coach that would reach out for you or vouch for you or any type of film, if you can get anything in front of coaches, the more information, the better. I think generally coaches, if there's not much information, are generally skeptical, just not sure what they're dealing with. So as much information as you can get out there, as much stuff as you can put in front of college coaches. I know I like receiving emails from people, sometimes not good fits, sometimes just not interested for different reasons, but it's always good to know that people are interested. And my suggestion to everyone is, if you're going to do that, try to personalize it a little bit. Don't just send the, "Hey coach, I'm interested in your school," put Coach Zeifert interested in Illinois Tech or so on and so forth. But the recruiting process, our coaches here, I think all of them do a pretty good job with the recruiting. I think, we do bring in a lot of student athletes every year. Doesn't matter the sport, gender, whatever. I think our coaches do a very good job working at that. But it's always a two-way street. If you're interested, reach out, shoot them an email, and kind of follow up if you don't hear from them.
Well, that's kind of the big stuff that we have. That's kind of our quick presentation there, giving you a thumbnail of what we're all about here. What are some questions that you guys have? What are some things that you guys are dying to know? Let's feel free to open this up and kind of test us here a little bit. Your turn. Nobody? Gabriella, you got nothing out there?
I got one thing I'll add on to some stuff we've talked about. One of the cool things about our department, which probably don't talk enough about, is our sports information department within our athletic department. They do a great job kind of keeping everybody updated. Obviously, I don't know where all of you are from. I know, Tyler, you're from Worcester, Ohio. I'm sure we got people from all over the country, all over the world here. And parents can't always make it to your games. Parents can't get out and watch you play in person every day. We have kids from California, Seattle, Texas, Maryland, Connecticut on the lacrosse team. And, all of our home games, and you guys might, or Coach Z, you guys might be the same way. They live stream everything. So for free, your parents can log on. Out in Hawaii, they can log on and watch their women's soccer player her game, or read a recap of it, or follow along on Twitter. And so I think that's something that's important, because again, with the school the way we are, we're not a regional school. You'll see on the rosters, if you scroll through, you'll see as a school, it's not necessarily a 80% Illinois, 20% everywhere else. It might actually be the opposite of that. Like I said, more kids from the West Coast and Illinois on our lacrosse program. And it's one of those things that I actually really appreciate the work our sports information director does to allow everybody access to our sports programs. So we did get a question, Coach Z, said, do teams conduct tryouts to recruit athletes, and how often? I'll start. It depends on the sport, I think. We have never conducted a tryout. We're a new program, so obviously we haven't done a lot of things. But every team will be a little different. I don't think any of our coaches are naive enough to think if there's someone on campus who can help them, they'll take it. But everyone will probably conduct it a little differently. I know basketball, they do a few men's basketball. I know they do a few weeks of like preseason practices where potential walk-ons or tryouts are held. I think men's soccer conducts like a group tryout in the fall or spring. Coach Zeifert, you might have a little more info on some of those.
Yeah, I can jump in. So it's really sport dependent, as Coach talked about. Men's soccer will hold a tryout every year. Women's soccer will do it as necessary. He has done a lot less of that the last couple of years as his recruiting and his success has picked up. So getting in front of coach, if you're women's soccer early, is better. We do have some sports that are basically non-cut, right? So if you're track, cross country, swimming, a sport to that nature, coming out for that is at the moment pretty easy to do. I have let individuals try out. It's never really worked out. We've really depended on the recruiting side of it, but we don't hold an open formal tryout in that traditional sense at all. Okay, we rely on the recruiting. Men's basketball has relied on the recruiting. So it's really sport dependent, but if you're interested in playing and you're serious, get your name in front of us. Email, video, club coach, high school coach, make sure we get hit with all the information. And sometimes we're on the road or we're doing different things, and we get a little bit busy, and sometimes we miss an email, or we hey, I'm going to respond to this first thing in the morning, and then 3 other things hit, and we forget. So make sure that if this is a place that you want to be, that you're aggressive to it, just like you would follow and chase every other goal that you have. Okay. But the opportunity does exist when you get here to at least have a conversation with the coach and kind of see where you may or may not be as far as participation. Thank you for that question, Dan. If anyone else has questions but they don't want to unmute, you can go ahead and use the chat function. We've got a bunch of minutes here left, so whatever, this is your time, so we're here for it, and we've got plenty. Cora, nothing?
Yeah, how does the housing work? Do you do dorms, and do you sometimes stay with teammates, or I don't know?
Yeah, so housing, great question. So housing is typically run like this. You go through the recruiting process, coach knows you're coming, we do all that. It's usually around this time of the year where guys and gals are putting their housing deposits down and that type of stuff. And what we do for baseball, and coach can speak to him, but what most of our coaches, I think, do is, hey, we think Cora and Gabrielle are going to be great. I understand who both of those people are. I think they're going to be a great fit. So we're able to pair them, right? And the way I run our system is I say, okay, I think you 2 guys are going to be awesome. I let you guys start talking to each other. So I'll text you guys each other's phone number, contact, or whatever, and I was like, hey, in a couple days, text me back, just a thumbs up emoji. That's all I need, just a thumbs up emoji, and it says you guys are good to go rooming together. And then you guys go ahead and submit your housing contract on that respect, and then we submit our housing requests the same. So it's a 2-check system to make sure that you guys are together in that respect. Okay. And for us, I want our guys living with baseball guys, not because they can't be happy anywhere else, because I want to isolate them, but it's because you have someone that's going through the same thing you're going through. It's a common experience, right? Our guys get up and lift 4 days a week at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So there's someone to complain to about that, right? Hey, they know what you're going through. There's someone to wake you up when you want to sleep, right? That's an instant family member, instant best friend, instant teammate, instant dad, those type of things, right? Hey, we got to get to the bus right now, right? Like, Corey, you might be one of these procrastinator type people that is never early for anything, and you're rooming with Gabriella, who, is on time and early for everything. You guys are going to fight, but it's probably a good pairing at times as well. You know what I mean? So kind of giving each of you that common experience has worked out for us, okay? Coach, anything to add, or did I kill it?
Yeah, killed it. Yeah, I think every program's a little different. Like Coach Z said, he texts guys individually. I actually, and Tyler can attest to this, I kind of just give our guys each other's numbers. They start a group chat, and usually they kind of figure out who they relate to best, generally depending on the major, depending on, where they want to live, kind of works out the best. But I historically haven't been so strict on you have to live with a lacrosse player. I had a pretty cool experience my freshman year. I did not live with a lacrosse player, and he became one of my best friends. Now I can also see how that can go terribly wrong, and I understand. I was very fortunate because I saw some people go through some bad experiences. But again, that will be up to the program. I think most coaches, and I'm kind of in this boat now, we want them living with other athletes for the reasons Coach Z said. Just 6 a.m. practice, you don't want your roommate sitting up playing video games or watching movies till 4 a.m. So someone who has a similar schedule, similar interest to you, I think is pretty important.
Anybody else?
Hold on, I just got submitted another.
Yep.
Seems like soccer and lacrosse are using the same field for practice. So is there like schedules to separate practices? Yes. So the way it works, we're pretty fortunate because we do use the same field. Men's and women's soccer and men's and women's lacrosse all play on Stewart Field, which seems daunting, but the good thing is soccer's are in the fall and lacrosses are in the spring. So the way it will work is in the fall, the soccer teams, they go through men's and women's soccer and kind of plot out their schedule. And then men's and women's lacrosse kind of plot their fall practices around what they're doing. And, if there's a crazy situation and a game gets moved or, something is canceled or postponed, it's kind of the fall team gets to take precedent again over what happens. So we kind of adapt to what they're doing. And then in the spring, it's the exact opposite. The lacrosse teams kind of go in, kind of schedule what they need. And then the soccer teams kind of take, the time slots that are left. And the good thing is, your non-traditional season's only about 4 or 5 weeks. So there's not a ton of time where all 4 teams are really trying to compete for the same field. And the fact that we have lights, the fact that we have everything kind of set up, it kind of opens up, you have morning, you have early evening, you have late evening practice slots. And, sometimes there are some unique circumstances and you have to go with an 8 p.m. practice. But, nice thing is everyone lives pretty much on campus or really close to campus. So it's not very hard to get guys or gals to practices. And you can usually work it out that way.
And I'll just add this: we use the field for some night workouts because we do not have lights baseball wise. So as coach said, it seems daunting, but there's a lot of hours in the week, and we're able to do a lot with our resources here on campus for every sport.
Yeah, 4 teams sharing a field is not uncommon. I've worked at schools that have 6, 7 teams using the same field. They make it work. Anyone else have any questions? You can send them through the chat. I can check that as well.
Bree, anything you'd like to add here, or things that the school wants us to talk about here?
Not that I can think of. Like, I've had a lot of friends do athletics, and I don't know, agree with a lot of the roommate situation for sure. And I think a lot of my friends who have done athletics in general, they usually find some type of balance. So you may think in the beginning that it's so much work, and that's in general when you come to school, it can be a lot of pressure, but I would say in general, create a schedule, have a Google Calendar, write out everything that you need to do when you have practice, when you have class, how much homework you have to do, and you'll probably figure it out after a couple trial and errors, but you'll get everything sorted for sure. I don't know, that's kind of my take on it.
Appreciate it. All right, well, if there's nothing else, we can say goodbye. But feel free to reach out to me directly or to your admissions staff member that you've been in contact with if there are any further questions or follow-ups or things that you'd like more clarity on. We welcome that conversation. We welcome that interaction. And we hope to see you guys on campus as soon as COVID-19 disappears from our lives for at least a short time. That would be nice. So thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Oh, I was just going to add in, if you guys want to find any of the videos that we've been doing, or even this video, they have been recorded and they're on our Illinois Tech YouTube. So you guys can go ahead and check that out. If there was something that you missed, you have more questions about something else, it's probably answered there as well.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.